Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Reckless Paradise podcast. I am your host, Dystro, and tonight's episode is another Shoot the Shit episode 42. Mm, yeah, episode 42 of Shoot the Shit. 42 weeks of shooting the shit on this podcast channel. Um, I kind of want to start off with a little somber note here. Over the last few days, um, there has been lots of tributes, and lots of people went out and speaking about this person. If you know NASCAR or have watched NASCAR in passing or whatever, you know that former NASCAR driver Kyle Busch, two-time NASCAR MVP, had passed away at the age of 41. The case or the cause of death that I saw was like severe pneumonia that turned into mesis, if I'm saying that correctly. Um, and he was like one of those people that it was like, so you can't really say no good or bad about him sometimes. But then, like, you can't diminish, like, his NASCAR driving experience. I mean, he's, a Hall of Famer worthy person for a reason. There's been lots of people, speaking out about it, kind of, telling him, we'll see him in the next lifetime and all that stuff. Um, it's sad to see that, he was, early 40s and he passed away from severe pneumonia. Um, and that's nothing to, write home about either. Severe pneumonia is very, very, very deadly. And it could lead to something else if not treated. So I kind of wanted to, pay tribute to Kyle Busch. I know Marissa, uh, she watches NASCAR sometimes, because of Joey Logano, and it's like one of those things. It's just like it can happen to anybody. So we at the Reckless Paradise podcast, we want to extend our condolences to the friends and family of Kyle Busch. So now I want to talk about gaming related stuff. And no, it is not 2K this time. Well, I mean, there is one, maybe few things about 2K, that I will get to later on. This one is more race car related. Speaking of like NASCAR and all stuff, I recently just started playing Forza 6. This takes place in Japan this time around, which I really love the atmosphere that um, Forza Horizon 6 takes us into Japan this time around. I love the scenery, I love the cars and all stuff, and plus like Japanese cars to me, it screams just very, you know, it just reminds me of Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. If you know, you know. And I am not going to be the one that toots my own horn, but me and Marissa's close personal friend, Ken's, he's a Forza master, if you will. And, he's been very in the know with very Forza Horizon things, and he's the one that actually told us that it was coming out. So kudos to him. Sadly, Marissa can't really play right now, because with her whole ordeal going on. But I've got the chance to play it, and I actually really, really like it. Ken's had put it in a good retrospective. He said it was kind of like taking it back to Forza Horizon 4. Which I was like, that's a very, very good shout because I loved Forza Horizon 4. I didn't really get much love into it with 5 per se. Um, but I do love Forza Horizon 4 and 5 for their own reasons, I should say. But with Forza 6, it's just, it takes it kind of back to basics. There is a new car class, I guess this time around. Is the R car class, I guess, if you want to call it that. Because I remember I think it's in Forza 4 and 5, they had D class, C class, B, A, S1, S2, and then X. But now it's just with between the S2 and X classes, there's an R class. Um, and I think it's a good addition because, like, not a lot of people can get to X class. Um, some people, if they want to spend a whole bunch of money to try to get to X class, more power to them. But what I've done is, do all the event stuff and kind of just work my way up through the ranks as I go, and just earn money that way. Um, which has, helped, me kind of get one or a few of the cars that could be transferred into our class. I know I have some cars that are like S1, S2 classes. I know I have a Lamborghini that I'm actually currently playing with. That is an R class. And I want to make sure I want to get it to X class, but I don't know how much that would be per se. But I guess we'll get to it when we get to it. Um, she kind of liked how they incorporated some of the like road races, cross country, and dirt races with like some drift corners in there to like make sure it was kind of like Tokyo Drift sort of feel. I did like how they did drag races or drag meets this year, because it's like part of the overall journey to like get to the next wristband in the game, which I actually thought that was kind of cool. um and plus, like, I'm a car enthusiast. I know, and Ken's is one of those people that can, tell us like everything about the car. Like what tunes to get for this kind of car, or if this thing needs this tune and all that stuff. And so I think it's actually a really good game to like play with people. Especially if it's online and all that stuff too. Um, I do like the soundtrack this year too. And if you know me and Marissa on this channel, we're both like hard rock and metal heads and all stuff, sometimes. So I put on Horizon XS, and they had a really, really good lineup of music and musicians this year. For this game, Baby Metal's on there, Linkin Park's on there, A Day to Remember's on there. I think it's South Arcade is on there, which I have heard a few times in passing, which is actually kind of cool. Um, I mean, I would probably get like a lot of enjoyment out of this because it's still playable after you beat the whole game, and you can learn from your mistakes from various different missions and all that stuff too. You can like retry and get better and all that stuff, which that's what Forza games are usually good for, to like make sure you can get better and better at certain things. And I've been trying to get myself better at getting doing drifting in Forza, which, I mean, perfect game to play because it helps you get better. And I don't know. It's like I feel like within the last few days that I've played it, like I've only been playing that and or 2K. you know, um, I know recently. I know this is like off topic, but I know recently on my Xbox, I've recently beat Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Remake. Um, I will say I had more fun with Resident Evil 3, um, only because of Jill, because of her quick, witty, her sense of humor. I did like how they have Carlos in the remake. Um, Introducing Nemesis that way too was actually kind of fun. Um, and it's not having to deal with Mr. X every so often. Um, didn't have a problem with Mr. X this time around. Um, he was a big problem in Resident Evil 2 when I did it. But I did like how they incorporated the police station from Resident Evil 3, then going into Resident Evil 2, which I've probably put it backwards, which that's fine, but I understood the story, and it's easy to digest, and it's and all that stuff. And I've started to play Resident Evil 8, but I didn't really get into it very much. It's only because Ethan Winters as a character just does not do it for me. And probably that's probably a hot take and a half. Like, look, everybody is entitled to their own opinion on this. I just think that Leon and Claire and Jill, like, they're all good main characters for their own reasons. When I played Biohazard, Resident Evil 7, when it took it back to basics, I just genuinely thought maybe we could have had somebody else. Like, it could have been Ethan, or not Ethan, uh, oh god. I wish that we could have gotten Leon instead of Ethan. Or Chris, like Chris Redfield. That'd be actually kind of cool. To, save Mia instead of Ethan. Um, I don't know. Like, I guess that's just one of those things where it's like, like I said, it's polarizing, probably a popular opinion. Um, but I mean, that's just me. I did have a good time with Biohazard. I do believe that was actually a really good, like, back to basics game for the Resident Evil franchise. I know after 5, they were just kind of like, okay, let's just get wacky and silly, and then 6 comes out and it's like, okay, let's get super wacky and silly, and then after that they were just like, okay, let's just take it back to basics, um, which I actually loved. Um, I I did like the Louisiana like set piece for 7. Just takes place in like one house. They're very reminiscent of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know if that was like their inspiration or something. Maybe not. Um, I did like the antagonists in the game, the Baker family. That was actually kind of cool. Um, I didn't think that spoilers, but I didn't think that the grandma was like the one that was like controlling the Baker family and all stuff. But then when you get to the meat and bones of it, it's just like this family was just plagued with this disease, and that one person took over their lives and made them into who they are, and it's just kind of like, well, shit, like, you kind of feel bad for them now. Um, but if you haven't played any of the Resident Evil games, I would just go out on a whim and just say do any of the Resident Evil games and just play them because like they're all good, especially the ones that are like very out there. But yeah, you know like I said, off topic, but I think playing Resident Evil 2 and 3 actually made me feel more of a fan. Because speaking about Resident Evil, the director who did Weapons and Barbarian, they are making a Resident Evil movie. I'm actually kind of stoked to see it. I don't know if I'll watch it in theaters, but I might watch it like from the comfort of my own home, so I don't have to go out and deal with people. I'm just saying. Um, I don't know. Just I'm very, very, very excited to see what the director from Weapons and Barbarian can do with a Resident Evil film. Um, so then now back to the regular topic, Forza Horizon 6. Um, I do believe Forza Horizon 6 has the potential to do more. I don't really know where the Forza Horizon franchise could go from here. Because, I mean, eventually they're going to be running out of continents to take place in. Um, if I had to guess, I guess, I would love to see like what a Brazil kind of Forza 4 could or for Forza Horizon game could do. Um Maybe a Russia one. That would be actually kind of interesting. I really don't know. Like I guess just time will tell with the Forza Horizon series. So, talking about still on the gaming side of things here. Um let's talk about 2K. I mean, what's not really been said about that? But I kind of want to bring attention to my alter ego, Chris Chambers, on the 2K thing. Last night, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. Um, I recently made my debut for Trap House Wrestling, which is headed by Lamar Wilder, who is a 2K content creator, overall amazing dude. He just, his commentary just lets it fly and he does not give a fuck about anything. And he will just say whatever he needs to say. And I love that. And I went up against a guy named Token Black last night. It was a hell of a fight, but, I put him down with one in the chamber, 1, 2, 3. And if you, like I said, if you haven't subscribed to Trap House Wrestling, I would go and subscribe to them right now because the guy, he makes very, very good content and the action in the ring and out of the ring is very top notch. There is a good cast of characters and people on that roster. And it's a very, very good, amazing watch. So if you haven't, subscribed by now, go subscribe and tell them Chris Chambers sent you. Speaking about 2K stuff and more 2K stuff, I should say, more I guess promotional uh stuff here. Um, Recently, Supremacy Wrestling had their last and final show, London Calling 2. If you haven't watched it, go watch the pre show, which is a very, very lengthy pre show, commentated by Mr. Wyatt Danger, or Wyatt Weaver. And then go to the main show where the main event was a fatal four-way elimination match for the Supremacy Men's World Championship. And everybody put their heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears into it to make it happen. If I had to guess a match of the night, I would say the main event, but I would say the semi-main with Alexis Danvers and Amber Reed. You should go watch that because that was a well good semi-main event. And Alexis, put a lot on her plate, a lot on the table, uh, to head into London Con 2 as the longest reigning Supremacy Women's Champion, and you just gotta wait and find out to see what happened on that show, if you haven't already. But after that, Carnage, Lucky Carnage, he took Twitter. He said that due to everything that's been going on and all that stuff, and just trying to make the show feel epic and trying to get all this stuff done and try to edit it and do all the commentary and all that crap. He said that for the time being, Supremacy Wrestling has closed its doors for now. Don't know when it would come back up again, but he did say that we will have the Ultra Strong Style tournament and the Carnage Cup this year, which that's always been a mainstay with Supremacy Wrestling. And I'm actually kind of excited to see what or who is going to be in both tournaments this year. Because Ultra Strong Style is usually more technicians and submission based wrestling sort of stuff. Whereas Carnage Cup is more deathmatch wrestling and more violent sort of beings and all that stuff on that side. Um, I personally think, as my ultra egos, Chris Chambers, I might go into the Ultra Strong Style Wrestling. That's not me officially announcing myself into it. I'm just saying that I might go into it this year. But, there's a lot of spots that need to be filled, and, Carnage is one of the people that is going to try to make sure that both tournaments are going to be good for you guys and for him. Content created wise, content creation wise. But I think this is going to be a good. I think these both are going to be good tournaments this year. I have a good feeling about that. Speaking of other promotions that are currently on a hiatus, Three Crowns Wrestling, another promotion that I am part of. I know I can't really speak on the whole thing. I know on Twitter they recently said that they were on a little bit of a hiatus, but next month they're going back to Copenhagen for Judgment, Chapter 9, Judgment, which that's always going to be a good show, no matter what, no matter what in 3C Dub. Um, and then on top of that, like I said, Trap House Wrestling is still going strong. The next episode, I don't know when that will be, but expect your boy Chris Chambers to be on that show to fight somebody on that roster. Um, but yeah, that's it for some 2K game related stuff. And hopefully, hopefully I don't have to worry about any glitches or anything like that of the sort in the next few months. So now let's talk about some real wrestling, like in real life sort of thing. So this past weekend we had three GCW shows in a row. We had Ring of Dreams, we had Gateway to the Death, and then we had oh gosh, it's escaping my mind right now, but I know there was three shows in the past weekend, and you know what? And it's I think they were all good. They were really good up to a certain point. Not to knock on it or anything. And I think it's a good thing that we have a good alternative sometimes. Um, and with GCW, I think, with me, I think it's always good to have a good alternative because of the way sometimes, like when I've always talked about this, like with AEW and WWE and all that stuff, kind of just being like, ugh, like I don't really want to watch it. Um, I think it was a good turnout for all three shows. So we had Ring of Dreams, we had Gateway to the Death 3, and then we had Guilty Conscience, which hasn't been a pay per view or an event, I should say, I think since like 2019, 2020, I think, something somewhere around there. It was a long, long time. Um, and all three shows were good. But my one nitpick was the Ring of Dreams main event between Manders and Atticus. Um, and it's not to knock on any of them or anything. It was just like it's just me as a wrestling fan. I just thought maybe they could have maybe pulled the trigger on Manders winning the GCW World Belt. Um, and like the finish was just crazy because Atticus hits brain hemorrhage. Manders gets his foot on the rope, but the ref counts the three. So then you have that dusty finish where it's like, okay, well, like we have to like kind of look at the tape, but then like Mark Brave from Black and Brave Academy comes down and like tells the ref like, look, like his foot was on the ropes, dumbass. And then they like restart the match, but then like Mark Brave like gets hit, and then Atticus, like I think he hits him with brain hemorrhage. Manders is like kind of like checking on him, but then Atticus uses the catapult on Manders, who had it in there anyway, and then hits him with a brain hemorrhage anyway. And then he gets the physical pinfall over Manders. And it's like, well, why the fuck did we just have that dusty finish then? So then he's gonna beat him clean. So it was just like one of those things where it was just like, what the hell was that? Like choice of basically kind of like retconning the pinfall from Atticus that Max Recon kind of fucked up, to then Manders being like, oh shit, like I gotta check on my teacher, and then being like, oh well shit, like I'm gonna get this counterprod used against me and shit, and like then like just loses to Atticus immediately. I don't know what that was, but it was just one of those things where it's like again, it's a nitpick. It's just like I wish he could have kicked out of the brain hemorrhage and then like maybe kind of fought against Atticus or something. Um, to like get to that final brain hemorrhage, like maybe like take like two or three more brain hemorrhages to put Manders down, because Manders is such a badass and badass motherfucker. It's gonna take a lot to get rid of him, sort of thing. um that's just me being Booker brain, and like just kind of being like, okay, well that's kind of fucking stupid. um And I think personally, it kind of diminishes Atticus's win over Manders anyway, because Manders, like I said, Manders had his foot on the ropes, and then Atticus is like, well, shit, like I still won either way, and then he hits him with a brain hemorrhage on Manders anyway, and then wins clean. So it kind of like just goes like head scratching kind of moment and all that stuff. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I'm just like, all right, whatever. Um, I mean, besides that, we had a new entrant into the tournament survival. Um, Annika Murphy. Love ya. Um, I think Pyramid Survival is going to be a very, very interesting card this year because we have Dr. Redacted, Jonathan Gresham, who I was like, okay, that's kind of like a troll. It feels like a troll moment, but I don't think it really is. Lil Sicko, Takeda, Mr. Danger, Nino Extremo, Vipress, and then we had Anakin Murphy into that, into that mismatch of craziness. Um, I really don't know who's gonna win Tournament of Survivor this year. It feels like to me, could just be me, but I feel like for me, I would either want Vipress or Doctor Redacted to win. Because Doctor Redacted is just one of those people that I could just see him having the Ultraviolent Championship and winning it from Matt Tremont of all people. But then I can also see Vipers kind of winning it too. Um, I'd say Vipers has kind of grown into her own character as of late, being a badass bitch. Um, and I mean, La Chola, I mean, come on. Uh, and I actually like seeing her interact with, not just the women, but also with the men. She fought John Wayne Murdoch, and, even though, yeah, she got her ass kicked, but it's like, hey, she kicked his ass back, Um, I don't know. I just don't know who's going to win Tournament of Survivor this year. I really don't know who's going to win the Cage of Survival this year because Matt is putting up his Ultraviolent Championship in a Cage of Survival match, and I don't know how that's gonna go, but I think that's gonna be a very, very lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch it and or witness it. Um, and talking about GCW, if you haven't listened or watched the retrospective that I did on GCW a few weeks ago, go check that out. I think you'll actually like what you had heard. Um, I think it's in a good spot right now that it's not having a TV deal or anything because there's gonna be a lot of people that will probably be like, well, why is it on my TV? And it's like because if they try to do it on TV, they would have to literally cut out a lot of the stuff that they do. Um, and it's also good being on Triller because they can get away with a lot of stuff. But I will say that I mean it's better than watching WWE right now, for me at least. Um, Speaking of which, speaking of AEW and all that stuff, tonight it is Double or Nothing in Queens. Um, I know the matches so far is well the one that I'm gonna be looking forward to. It is Keshta versus Okada. That's gonna be freaking amazing. I know Stadium Stampede is oh gosh, Stadium Stampede is Jericho, Hurt Business. Yeah, Jericho, Hurt Business, or Hurt Syndicate, I should say. Uh, Jack Perry and the Elite versus Don Callis family and the Demand and the Dogs. um, that's gonna be a wild, chaotic match too, because I think last year was it was Death Riders versus Team Omega. It's just that was just fucking crazy. Um, I mean, I don't really know who would win in Stadium Stampede this year. I'm thinking Team Jericho might win because any one of the people in either the Dogs or the Demand will take the pin because I know Omega Perry, Jericho, Matt, Nick Jackson, Bobby, and or Sheldon's not going to take that pin. Uh, if you wanted to, you could have probably just put Jack Perry pinning Mark Davis to like get like a literal like physical win over Mark Davis. But I know this could be like all out mayhem in that match. Like I said, Okada versus Takeshita, which that's gonna be freaking epic. Um, Tag team title I Quit match. FTR versus Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, aka CNC Wrestle Factory. I think this is where they pull the trigger on Copeland and Cage to be the World Tag Team Champions. Um, I mean, FTR's had like a very, very good run with them. Like they've had them for over 3 months, or no, well, actually, yeah, yeah, I was gonna say over 3 months. This is their third title reign with it too. Um, and I kind of think that, if they don't put, the tag titles on Copeland and Christian, it kind of just diminishes all the hype and the groundswell or crowdswell from that and all that stuff. So I think that's where they should just pull the trigger. I mean, it's going to be a very, very brutal match on top of the same Stampede match. On top of that, um, I there's a lot of matches that are going to be a match of the night too. Um, so then we go into Samoa Joe versus Will Ospreay for the men's Owen Hart Foundation quarterfinal. Then we have Swerve versus Bandito for the other quarterfinal. We have Athena versus Mina Shirakawa, that's going to be epic because due to Willow being injured, um, Athena is going to face Mina, which that's going to be good. We have Continental title, no limit time, no time limit with Mox versus O'Reilly, which, truth be told, I think that's going to be a sleeper hit. Four-way for the women's championship, Tekla versus Sheeta, Jamie Hayter, and Chris Statlander. Man, it's like, I don't know who would take the pin in that one. Because, like, I it pains me to say this, but it's like I feel like Sheeta's probably going to take the pin on that one. Um, and I love Hikaru Shida. I also love Jimmy Hayter and Chris Stanley too, but I love Tekla. Tekla is like one of those people that when she left Stardom, I feel like her whole aura around her, like, immediately just latched onto people, and I actually really, really like that about her. And plus, like, she's, dating Clark Connors, so he's already in the match already, so it's like, why not? um, I mean, and I know in Marissa's mind, she would either want Jamie Hayter, or Chris Statlander to win. But I'm thinking Tekla is going to retain over Sheeta. Sorry. And then we have Darby Allin versus MJF, World Title versus Hair. Um, I have a feeling that I feel like in my bones that MGF versus Darby is gonna change into like a new DQ maybe at some point, maybe on the pre-show or on the buy-in. I guess I don't know. Um, but like, cause with all this animosity and all the hype and all that stuff, like the rematch between Darby and MJF, we know MJF's not going to lose his hair after he just got a hair transplant. Let's be honest here. Um, and plus, like, Darby's title reign wasn't too long. It's not too long, but he could come back to it at some point. Um, Down the line, kind of just be like, well, like, yes, like, you cheated me to win. So then I'm gonna get my lick back on you, and maybe they could just do like a steel cage or something. Um, I mean, that's just that. But I know the other added stipulation for the World Tag Title match is like if Copeland and Cage lose, they must retire as a tag team. I wouldn't be against that if I was honest. But the thing is, does FTR, if they did retain, who would they face? Because then they got to go into another program with another tag team. Uh, and we haven't seen Brody King at all. So maybe we can get back Brodito at some point to get that win back or something. I really don't know. I know on the pre-show we had conglomeration versus or Boom and Doom, and the conglomeration versus Shane Taylor Promotions. With Anthony Ogogo, Charlie Bravo, Lee Moriarty, Shane Taylor, and Sean Dean. Death Riders versus the Ops on the pre-show, and then Vita Van versus Zeta Steel versus Divine Domination, which bless Vita Van and Zeta Steel, because you two ladies are gonna get, they're gonna get, um, I mean that's not a bad pre-show to be honest with you, but um, yeah, I mean this Double or Nothing card, it's gonna be a pretty good show. I mean it's very stacked from top to bottom. I really don't know who they would open with, to be honest. If I had to guess, I would say maybe go with Okada Takesha first to get the crowd woken up. Um, I mean, main event's probably going to be the World Championship, obviously. But yeah, that's going to be a pretty good show. So, some music related stuff here. I recently just started to do a Seether pilgrimage, and I just listened to Disclaimer from O2, and I mean, I haven't really finished it yet, but I get the gist. O2 Seether is very good. When I know when I get to Disclaimer 2, it's still the exact same album, but they added some other songs onto it. But on that album, they have the broken version with Amy Lee, who at the time was dating Sean Morgan. Which hey, that was a good dude. That's a good freaking song too, and it was on the Punisher '04 movie, on their album and all that crap. Um, I know like as soon as I get more into the Seether stuff, I'm gonna be very appreciative because I haven't really listened to all of their music yet. I know their lineup had changed like a lot. Well, before and then during like some of the other albums and all that stuff. I know currently it's Sean, Dale, um, Flint, and then we have I can't remember the drummer's name. It's mind fogging on me. But hey, this is what we have for Seether now. Oh man, like this is gonna be very good. It gives me high hopes when I go into it. Because I know majority some of their songs, I mean, especially with Fine Again and Disclaimer, all timer A list song there. Um, but yeah, like I think it's gonna be a good pilgrimage, and maybe sometime next month I will probably do a ranking. So to wrap things up, we are talking about, well, I kind of want to talk about this. So not too long ago, we had heard that we are getting a new season of Dark Side of the Ring. Yes, we are getting Dark Side of the Ring season 7, and it comes out in July, which I love it. So some of the topics were as follows, and it's no particular order here, but I know we have Big Boss Man, which that's gonna be an interesting topic. We have Zach Gowen in this season. We have three-parter for the TNA and Jeff Jarrett thing, which that's gonna be interesting. We have Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful. We have We also have the infamous match between Necro Butcher and Samoa Joe, which that's going to be interesting because I don't really know much about that one. The Renegade, which is the Ultimate Warrior ripoff. I know it said Missy Hyatt is going to be in this season, which that's going to be interesting. Um, but the one that I'm actually looking forward to the most is the TNA one because it's a three-parter. I bet you they had a lot to go over and a lot to talk about because this is like covering the span of like when it began and then during the middle part where like I think like when Hogan, Flair, Bischoff, all those like older heads came in, and then like where it is now. I'm sure they probably got Hulk Hogan before he had passed away. Um, Eric Bischoff, Ric Flair, probably, maybe, I don't really know. I know probably Mick Foley probably was in that. Maybe Vince Russo, maybe, because he was there at the beginning in TNA. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if they put Jim Cornette is on there. Um, to be honest with you. Um, but that three-parter is going to be interesting. Um, this would be an interesting person to get. I would be really surprised if they got Dixie Carter on there. Um, because we hadn't really seen her like since like she had left, you know. And it's like that's not a bad thing. It's just like one of those things where it's just like okay, like, well, what does she have to say? Because, she was there from the beginning too, but then she doesn't become an on-screen figure until, like, later within the 2010, like 2000s, 2010s sort of thing. Um, the Big Boss Man one, great trailer. Um, that's gonna be an interesting one too, because he didn't really do much within WWF, WCW, and then went back to WWF. Like he was a tag champ. He was hardcore champ. And then like he had like a brief feud with like the Big Show over the World Championship, but then that leads to like nothing after that. And I know he goes to like OVW to do some stuff. And then like after that, like he just was gone. Um, I'm actually wanting to hear like who they got on that episode to like talk about Big Boss Man. I wouldn't be surprised if they had gotten Undertaker on the episode. That'd be actually kind of sick if they did. Um, um, yeah, the TNA one that's gonna be good. The Necro Butcher and Samoa Joe uh, episode. I think that will be interesting too, because it's a match that's so infamous that like a lot of people probably still talk about it to this day. I would be surprised if they got Samoa Joe to talk about it, and then because I know Necro Butcher is still alive and he's still wrestling. I think that'd be actually kind of interesting to like have him like tell us like what happened to. But I think this is gonna be a very, very good season. Because like I had tried to catch myself up on the other seasons and all that stuff, and I think I caught myself up pretty much to where we are now. Uh, I think I can't remember. Um, but yeah, this is gonna be a very good season. I'm actually really looking forward to it. And I'll probably just have to watch it on like Daily Motion or something. So that is it for this episode 42 of Shoot the Shit. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. If you made it to the end of this video, we do really appreciate it. And if you like what we do, follow us on also social medias in the link in the description below and subscribe to us on YouTube. And there is the link tree in the description below, which will take you to our Instagram pages, Twitter pages, the podcast Reddit page is on there, my gaming YouTube channel is on there. Yeah, I said the podcast Reddit page. My gaming YouTube channel is on there, like I said. And tonight's song of the night is going to be Seether, how fitting. And it is going to be Fine Again. And that song is like so influential and so emotional because like there is a lot of truth to everybody being perceived nowadays sometimes, you know? Um, but yeah, there's a music video for it. And I will see you guys this Thursday for the last episode in May. You have a good one, everyone.